Hello and welcome to the 111th episode of the But I'm Knitting podcast. My name is Ramona. I'm a knitter from Toronto and welcome to my corner of the crafting world. So first thing, I'm not wearing my glasses because I was moving things around my room and I don't know where I put them. They're here somewhere. I don't know where they are. So you might see me squint a bit. It's okay. I'll survive the day. It's all right. So today I have no finished objects. I have quite a few works in progress, no new cast-ons, and plans for my next set of socks. And no, it's over there. Okay, so let me get a bit more comfy. Let's get started with my works in progress. So the closest that I have to finished objects is half-finished objects. So for the summer sock camp knit along, that's what pretty much any sock that you see right now, that's everything that it has to do with it. Let's start with this one. So last time you had seen, I had finished my first sock for the stitch surfers. These stitch markers are just to mark how high up I have to go. Although I don't really, honestly, I don't feel like it's completely necessary. I just need to know it's okay. I don't think it's completely necessary to have it for these, but I did it anyways just in case because I'm not fully used to working on toe-up socks. So yes, I completed the toe-up socks. We oohed and awed over the cuff, because it actually stretches and it fits properly. So the completed sock, you guys saw that last week. Guess what? Mona finished, her second foot and is just past the heel on the second sock. So I'm currently working my way up the leg. The thing that I love about this, I love about stitch surfers, is when you hold it up with its matching pair and it looks, hold on, let me just, there you go. Like, tell me that doesn't look cool. Or even switch it onto the other side. Like, oh, that just looks so cool. So, I'm working my way up the leg of the foot. I had a brief momentary pause because I knew how many stitches I needed to have on one side of the heel in order to put in the heel. So, when I did that, and I measured it against this, I'm like, why am I a few rows short? And then I realized what I did wrong. I didn't count everything properly. I had the right amount of stitches, but I had to start, I was getting ready to put in the heel at about here when it's supposed to be up here, when it's supposed to be like up here. But the thing is, it's the same amount of stitches for this side. That's why it got a bit confusing for me. But I realized the problem. I put it down and went to my bed and got it all sorted out by the next morning. So that's one sock, half done. More than halfway done, almost 3/4 of the way. I'm so happy. Like at this rate, I'll definitely have at least 2 pairs of socks by my next episode. So last week you saw that I was working on I call them the Once in Floral socks. I forgot to mention, let's go back to the other thing. So the yarn that I'm using for my stitch surfers, I mentioned it last week, was the orange one is from Mondim. It's color 101, and it's the orange colorway. They don't actually have names otherwise. And then the variegated one is one that was dyed by me. I called it I'm Gonna Call You Skirt. I'm using a size 0 needle for this, which I think is smaller than the recommended size, but that's always the case whenever I do socks. I always use a smaller size needle, usually like a size 0. That's my preferred one, unless there are a lot of cables. Then I realize I can't really do it like that, but So now let's go on to the other one. So last week I showed you my Once in Floral socks. No, I keep wanting to call it that. It's not the Once in Floral socks. It's called Floral Spell. The yarn that I'm using for this one is by Leading Men Fiber Arts. It was one of their gradient sets on their Showstopper base. I love these mini skeins. I still have a good amount of them left. Do I have them out here? No, I have a couple of them inside here. The rest of them are inside my bag. But check this out. Hold on. This is a 20-gram mini skein that I rolled up into a ball. I've used it for my blanket. I've used it for 2 pairs of socks. And I still have this much left. I'm going to get a lot of yardage out of this. Like, it's going to pop up on everything at this rate. For like each of the colors, oh yeah, you bet I'm making something else with that. I don't know what yet, but I will. So with this one, the main color I used for it is Mondim Retro Sorry, that was the same as the orange one that I was using before. I forgot to tell you that. It's the same brand, Mondim Retro Sorry in the color 110, which is this beautiful aqua bluish color of whatever I call it. So last time you had seen, I'll turn it this way, I was right where that progress keeper is, and I finished the sock, obviously. I'm working on these ones cuffed down. The cuff is a little bit shorter than what I usually work with, but it actually works out nicely for the striping effect. I really like that. So I finished that first sock, and let me just take this one out. Here is my second sock as I try to uncoil the yarn. So that is where I am now. So for these socks, I did the shadow wrap heels. I did it for the heel for these socks and for my stitch surfers. I'm actually really liking it. I find it it's just as easily memorizable as the Fish Lips Kiss. So that's what I got for that. So I did the heel on both of them. Oh, they look so good. Like, oh my gosh. Like, seriously, look at that. That's like one side. And the other side. And to me, they do, like, they were right. It looks virtually identical to me. I love it. Like, the Fish Lips Kiss, I always ended up with a little hole in the corner. But the way that I see for the shadow wrap heels, I found it now eliminates that problem. So it works out really good for me. So it's definitely going to be one of those heels that I'm going to keep, short row heels that I'm going to be keeping in my repertoire. So I'm making progress. I love it. Oh, so let me put that to the side now. Put that away. Okay, next project. I didn't put in as much as I wanted to, but honestly, I still feel like I did a good amount. Hold on a second. Okay, we're just gonna place it on there. All right. I have been working on my olive leaf pullover by Ravelry. Got it right first try. So I'm still working on my sleeve. I didn't work on it as much because honestly, I've had a couple days where I just didn't even want to work on anything, and other days where all I wanted to do was work on my socks. So I did. So so this is for the second sleeve. Last time you had seen, I had maybe about 4 rows of the sleeve done. I've made it at least one pattern repeat done. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, wow. That looks a lot better seeing it in the camera than looking at it myself. So yeah, so that's doing the sleeve detailing going all the way down. The yarn is by Riverside Studio in the colorway Salt and Pepper. I think the base is called Super Soft. Let me just double check. Yes, the base is called Super Soft. So I still got all of this off of the 4th ball. Definitely gonna have extras left over, but I already have a plan for the remainder of this yarn. It's gonna go with one of the other things I'm gonna be bringing back up. So, love this thing. So the sleeve is being currently worked on. I'm doing everything according to the pattern recommendations. I'm doing, this one I actually forgot to say, I'm doing the split heel. No, the split hem. That's what I'm doing for this one. Because they had I guess, even hem and a split hem, and I quite early on picked the split hem, and it honestly was just because of the back decreases, and I'm just like, yeah, that'll work. That's good. So that's where I am with this sweater. Soon, I'll be able to wear it. Soon. All right. So that takes care of all of my works in progress. Let's get talking on the other items. Future plans for cast-ons. For some of them are for knit-along, some of them are for the knit-along I'm already a part of. Let's get started with my next sock pattern that I was planning on doing that I mentioned last week. Put that over there. I was planning on doing the double helix socks by Jenny Steinman. So I finally figured out what yarn I'm going to be using. It's going to be this and this. This is from Mondim again. I realize I talk about them a lot, like practically all my projects seem to have them. So this is a Retrosaria Mondim in the color 305 right here. It's a very nice olivey green. And then I'm matching it with this yellow. This is a Mondim one as well. It's the same hat it's the same yarn I used for my craft hat, which I have over here in a bag. So it's the same it's the same yarn that I used for my graft hat by Jared Flood. I love this thing. It's the same yarn. I love this hat. Not necessarily the best display of modeling, but that works out okay for me, trust me. Yes, this is like it's my favorite hat. I don't have the ball band anymore, but let me see if I can find the colorway for the yarn. One moment, please. Okay, so I found it. Lucky for me, this is why sometimes I'm happy I actually started updating. I'm updating a lot more on my Ravelry because I hadn't done that for a long time. So this is Retrosaria Mondim in the colorway 115, which is this mustard yellow. So that's what I'm going to be using with this to do the double helix socks. Do I have the sock here? Right, I was supposed to go look for it and I forgot completely. Never mind. So yeah, so that will be my next pair of patterned construction socks. I don't know. So there we go. That takes care of that. My other socks that I'm working on, I'm only showing these now because I figured everything. I figured out just about everything. So I said, let me just show off everything all at the same time. So my plan was to do a lot more self-striping yarn. Some of these I had caked up from like December and I just never got around to touching them. So I'm getting around to it now. So I'm definitely going to be doing these. So the next two, they very much have a Christmas theme. These are still going to be under the, summer sock camp. So I've got these two. These are from Area 51 Fibers. The colorway for this one is Christmas with the Gilmores. Okay. For the contrasting heel cuffs and toes, I'm going to be doing this yarn. This is one I dyed myself. I don't remember what I used for this. I don't know if it was Kool-Aid or not, because sometimes by now, because this is at least a good couple years ago that I dyed it, it doesn't smell like Kool-Aid anymore. But mind you, most of the stuff that I have that smelled like Kool-Aid when I dyed them, within a couple years, it doesn't really smell like it anymore. I don't even remember, but yeah, so this is what I'm using for the heel cuffs and toes. It's like a greenish yellow, white. I don't remember if I put gray in this or not. Was this a Grello attempt? Yeah, because there's this colorway that I keep thinking in my head. I call it Grello for like green and yellow. And it also would have a little bit of gray. I have never managed to get it, but I know what I want in my head. So I think this was one of my tries for that. So we'll just put you back inside there. So that's one pair, self-striping. So I got to finish a pair of socks before I start casting those on. The next one that I have that has been sitting down inside the bag. Stay good. I'm pretty certain. Did I not leave the label in here? I didn't leave the label in here, but I'm pretty certain this one is Christmas at the Movies. I'm pretty sure. So it's two skeins like this, because she had them divided up into 50-gram skeins. So they're both ready to start at the same point. The contrast color for the heel cuffs and toes I'm doing is this one. I'm not certain where I got this yarn from. It could have been from Knit Picks. It could have been my art fill yarn that I used for something else. I'm not sure, but I could have also used that yarn for something else. I don't know. It's just black yarn. It's black sock yarn. So I had it in my stash, so I'm going to be using it for heel cuffs and toes. Now for the other one. I figured out one more self-striping sock that I wanted to do, but this one is based on, Hold on a second. I have to go look it up again. So the pattern for this one, I'm going to try and put a picture up there. It's by Daniela Mulbauer. I don't think I'm pronouncing that properly at all. It's called the Vroni. So it's just stinking adorable with the little cats on it, but I prefer to do it with self-striping yarn. Like the face of the cats, that is what I'm going to use my remainder of for yarn for my Riverside Studio and the Salt and Pepper. I'm going to be using that to go with it. And then for the striping, I am going to be using this. This is called My Favorite Rainbow. So I'm going to definitely make use of these. I don't know how long I'm going to make it. The pattern originally is a cuff down, and it goes from child sizes up to, was it 64 stitches or not? I'm trying to remember. Let me just check something. This is actually supposed to, it's, the pattern is in child size. It goes from like kids, and young women. I think I can adapt it for the size that I actually need. I already planned for who's getting these socks. She already knows. But for these ones, she's tried on my socks before. And so I'm going to use the size that I would use for myself, which is not a 60, that's for sure. So I'm going to be doing it with the 64 stitch count on a size 0 needle. So we'll take a little bit of adjustment just on the face of the cat, because the rest of it is pretty much just going to be, the rest of it is probably just going to be stockinette for me, because while the designer originally had it, so it was, alternating colors of yarn, I'm just going to use the self-striping with it, and it should work perfectly fine. So that is my plan for this one. This one is going under the Summer Sock Camp category. Now, last one for now that I have, but this one can go under Summer Sock Camp. However, last week, I was watching a podcast. No, it wasn't a podcast. It was a knit along announcement from Nitty Natty called Sock Week. I participated in this last year and I really enjoyed myself. That's where I got the chart as to how to knit one sock in a week. I did that while I was at my dad's house last year, and I was actually very pleased with myself. And by the time I got back, I finished the second sock, and I finished it in a week with like a day to spare. So I said, okay, I like this idea. I used that same mentality or the same chart, but kind of doubled up for when it came to 1 week sock knitting, the one that I did earlier on this year and a couple of weeks ago. So I decided, since it's the same kind of idea, I found my yarn that I'm going to be doing for that. Oh, I forgot this one. So put you there. I am going to be using this. So for this knit along, let me go back to my notepad. Okay, for this knit along, hosted by Nitty Natty, it goes from July 11th to July 18th. So you get 1 week to knit one sock. You don't have to do a pair. My plan is to do a pair, but you don't have to do a pair. So you can just do any kind of sock. I think it has to be adult size and you have to use sock yarn. I'm not sure, but it's to coincide with Shark Week, I think. I've never once watched anything. I think it's on Discovery Channel. I've never once watched anything to do with Shark Week and all of that. I don't care. You tell me a week to knit socks, I'm going to knit socks. That's what I'm doing. So I found my contrasting heel cuffs and toes, which is going to be this one. I'm trying to remember if I got this from Sweet Georgia or not, because this is definitely one of the ones I used in my blanket from Advent. But after a while, I just rolled them up in a ball. I forgot which one goes with which. This could have also been from Les Garçons. That's a possibility. I don't know for sure. But either way, it is cute. And I think the two of them together will go together quite nicely. So I'm keeping with the same bluish speckled thing that I've been doing. I only have one pair because every time I've done 1 week, I've realized they all have the same kind of idea. So I don't have anything that's in that kind of a russety color, which I think would be perfect. Actually, hold on. Let me just check something quickly behind me. Hold on. There is an option though. I just realized the yarn that I'm using for my stock for my Stitch Surfers, that might work orange-wise, but I have something else over here. There's also, I remembered, I have the option for, there's the option for this, for the heel cuffs and toes. And then there's also the option for this one. It really just depends as to what shade of orange I want to do, what colors I want to pick up on it. So, you know what? Skip out on the green. We're not doing the green. That can go for something else. Let me know which one you think is better. Like the brownie color or the more orangey color? Which one do you think goes best with it? The yarn that I'm using for it, it's another Riverside Studio. I didn't realize until a few weeks ago, I actually have quite a bit of their yarn and I had not used it very much. So now I'm actually getting around to using it. I'm kind of happy. So this is, so Riverside Studio on their Super Soft Base in the colorway Barrel. Let me just turn it this way so you can get, if you can see that. And I think, there's only one other knit along that I did want to discuss. There's actually 2 months for this one. Starting July 1st, Mud Punch Yarns is doing a knit along. I've gotten self-striping yarn from her before and I really, really loved it. So, but the thing is, I think I only bought 2 skeins and I used them up. I hadn't gotten any recently. And then she decided she's gonna host a knit along. I'm there like, oh, that's great. Let me look through my self-striping stash. There's nothing in there that says Mud Punch yarn. So it's just like, oh, great. But it goes for this knit along, if you want to participate and you do have yarn from Mud Punch Yarns, it goes from July 1st till August 31st, right? So if I am able to get yarn, I'm just going to be starting a bit later. But I'm pretty certain I could finish off at least 1 pair of socks within 2 months. I've done it in a week. I could do it with 2 within 2 months. So for that one, I'm going to have to, I'll work it on my schedule to see when I can get it done, but I will get that one done. I want to participate in that one. I'll make sure I put, hopefully I remember to put in the information before as to her Instagram, because that's where she announced it, and her shop in case anybody wanted to get yarn from her. I love it. It's beautiful. But then I literally went through everything and I really do not have any more of her yarn. Like I have the Cozy Knitter. I have a couple of skins from the Cozy Knitter, but most of my self-striping is from Area 51 and I love it too. But she's not hosting a knit along. She needs to host a knit along. Hold on, let me just check this one. This one's just for something else I'm checking. Oh, I did have another one. Huh. No. I was looking for a specific type of yarn, but no, I'm going with this one. So yeah, I think that's everything to talk about. Double check. Other than the fact that I put in like 1 square on my blanket. I think I did that on Sunday or was it Saturday night. I had a ball of yarn left over from the socks I had knit. I think it was from the ones I did for from where? It was for these socks. The leftover yarn from this one. I had it sitting down there in like a messy ball for like look how long, and decided, okay, I'm finally gonna ball it up and put it away. But since I use it for a pair of socks, I usually don't really put them away until I get a square into the blanket. And even though I haven't picked up my blanket in a while, so I said, guess I gotta pick up the blanket, and I put in a square. I'm not gonna bother showing it because it's only 1 square. There's no point. I haven't really touched the blanket otherwise. I think that's everything for what I'm currently knitting. Everything else is like kind of in hiatus. Let's see. For my Cable City socks, which are these ones, I've gotten pictures and commentary replies from 2 of my testers. The socks look good. So I'm happy. I got some changes I still got to do to the pattern. So once I get all my information, everything is finalized, and I actually get around to finishing reviewing and putting in the changes and knit the second sock, because I'm going to need it for, basically my aunt's going to become my foot model again like she did last time. So once that gets done and I get my pictures taken and I can put everything together, then I will put the pattern up for release. Hopefully I can get that done I guess within the next 3 weeks or so. And if that's the case, then I'm going to have to hurry up and finish something else on my, something is going to have to be delayed before I start it again. I have to decide exactly what. Maybe once I finish my Stitch Surfers, I'll quickly finish a second sock for my Cable City, and we'll see about that. We'll see. I haven't quite decided, because after the Cable City, I was planning on, after the Stitch Surfers, I was planning on starting the helix socks, double helix socks. Or maybe I'll just have 3 socks going at one time. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it at 3 socks. So once the Floral Spell socks are finished, I'm going to be doing one of my self-striping yarns. Once I finish the Stitch Surfers, I'm going to do the double helix, and I will also cast on for the second sock for the Cable City socks. There you go. Plans have been made. Hopefully I'll keep all of this in my head and make sure that gets done. Okay, I'm back. Let's see, what's been happening to me? Last week, I got a chance to go over to my dad's house and spend some quality time with like my younger siblings. It was really nice to hang out with them, because last time I had really seen them was, especially my 2 youngest siblings, last time I had really seen them was back in March. So it was really good to see them, or they were kind of surprised, because I didn't tell them until like Friday. I didn't tell my dad until like Friday. I was like, guess what? Can I come over? And that was until like noon on Friday. So by the time I showed up Friday afternoon, they were kind of there like, what are you doing here? So that was, it's really good to see them. My oldest brother, not my oldest brother, but my middle brother, yeah. Him I get to see on a somewhat regular basis, because I'm one of the people who actually goes to my church on a weekly basis in order to help with praise and worship. And he's one of the musicians. Yeah, big musicians in my family. I'm a singer. My brother plays just about every instrument under the sun. And my dad is the one who usually plays the bass guitar and the electric guitar, or his acoustic guitar. He'll take his pick and go to either which one. So we're all a part of the praise and worship team. And so I still see my dad and my brother on the days that we do this. So I was so happy just to see my younger siblings, because I haven't seen them in so long. Yeah, I just miss them. So with one of my brothers, we sat down there and we were discussing Camp NaNoWriMo for July. So I don't know if anybody has ever participated in NaNoWriMo. That is this happens in November every year. It's a National Novel Writing Month. That's what it's called. National Novel Writing Month. I've never once finished it. The whole point of it is to finish not necessarily finish a story, but to write 50,000 words in the month of November. Whether or not you want it to become a script, a movie, a TV show, a novel, it's really up to you as to what you do with it. I've never finished it. I've come to maybe about 30,000 words or something like that. And it's not that the ideas are not here. It's just that I don't have the commitment to actually write them all down or type them all out and all that kind of stuff. So my baby brother, he's very much into writing, and he likes to write. So, and he loves to read. Oh my gosh, that kid loves to read. So I had asked, because I knew I was going there, I had asked him whether or not he had heard of NaNoWriMo, and he said he had not. So, which reminds me, I probably have to send him a message, because I promised him I would, and I kind of forgot. Jogged my own memory. So, in the month of July, some people have come up with Camp NaNoWriMo, and basically in the month of July now, you're going to try to do 50,000 words. Since pretty much it'll be summer vacation for him, I'm going to pass along that information to him so that he can get to use it for his own writing and getting his own thoughts out there. Hopefully, I don't know if because I honestly don't, because I don't live with him, I don't see his daily schedule, so I don't know if he does spend a lot of time writing, or if it's like all in his head, because majority of my story ideas are like all in my head and they need to come out. So I'm not certain exactly what state it is, but this is an opportunity to get it all out on paper or screen or clay tablets. I don't know, take your pick. I found out my little sister has been writing her own stuff. She does mostly when I see her, she does a lot of art stuff, but she's been apparently writing. So I didn't ask her too much about it, but I would actually be very interested in finding out what she's writing about. But I do know that there are a lot of people who are writers and they're very protective of the stuff that they write, and they don't like to show it to people. So I try not to, you know, be like, let me read it, let me read it, let me read it, even though inside I'm like, I want to read it, I want to read it, I want to read it. I try not to do that to them. So for those two, that's what we pretty much end up discussing, is like writing and that kind of stuff. I gave them this idea that was going around in my head, and I said maybe because he does fantasy. She kind of does fantasy, but not quite. Me? I don't do fantasy. But the thing is, the idea that I had would have worked well in a fantasy story, so I passed that idea along to them. When my other brother came home, it was actually, no, hold on. At dinner time, that's what it is. My dad came down and asked me if I was ready to eat, and apparently I was the only one at 6 or 7 o'clock at night who was ready to eat dinner. I don't know how that even happened. So so he asked me what I wanted, and I saw the stuff on the stove, but then he opened the oven door, and I saw that there was something else there. So I asked him, what's that? And he said, it's lamb. So I said, okay. Me, I don't get lamb very often, very, very rarely. My mom can't stand it. She doesn't like the smell of it, not at all. So it's not even something that I grew up with. It was at my old friend's house. Her mom used to make it every Easter. And, you know, that's when you got it, because her mom's an amazing cook. So that's the only time that I would get it. So I'm sitting down there now, eating my lamb. And my middle brother comes and says, how is it? I'm like, it's a little bit salty, but eat it with the rice. It doesn't really have much salt. You know, they balance each other out, which is generally the case, because I'm pretty, at that house, especially for stuff like rice and that kind of stuff, they very, very rarely use salt, or use a very, very little bit of it. It's not the amount that I'm used to. But then, so he's like, so my brother then comes back and he says, okay, let me just cut a piece. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. Cut a piece off my plate, no problem. So he cuts, he's like, darn, I put in too much salt. And me like, Blake, I'm sorry, what? Apparently my brother seasoned the lamb. I was like in shock. They're like, oh, really? I'm like, you started cooking. Okay, so then I started asking, when has he been cooking? Apparently he has decided he's going on this whole thing about learning how to cook, which is amazing. Then we sat down there, and I started telling him about the stuff that I've been cooking recently, and we both found out we both like Adam Ragusa. And then I sent him a list of all of the different YouTube chefs that I found that I like the stuff that they have and the recipes that they've provided. Honestly, I'm just really happy that he's learning to cook for himself, because he's a kid with a lot of stuff that he has to watch out for what he eats. So this gives him, by seeing how it's made and finding out adjustments, he can get to try a lot more food that he probably would not have gotten access to before. So I'm really happy about that. I made sure there was a couple of new people to me. They're specifically vegan. Not that me or my brother are vegan. It's just because he has a serious egg allergy. Because of that, vegan food gives him options to stuff that he would not have been able to have that would normally contain eggs. So is there like, yeah, I can now have a Chinese stir-fried rice, and not without actually using an egg that would taste good. Or one of the things I've always wanted to have is an omelet. Never had one a day in my life. I've seen people make it. So like finding out about alternatives gives me the option to kind of try it. It might not be exactly the same, but it's close. Yeah. Hold on, just thinking to myself. So yeah, so that's what I did on Friday. Like really sitting down there and having like great conversations with my family out there. And then church on Saturday, and then home. And yeah, that was pretty much everything. Yeah, that is actually everything. Oh wow, this episode ended up being a lot longer than usual. Maybe this is what happens when I forget my glasses. I don't know. So that's going to be everything for today. I'm glad that you spent your crafting time with me, or just your watch time, or whatever you're doing. Hope to see you again soon, and have a good day. Bye.